Listen on radio, smart speakers, and our free mobile app, WSKO Syracuse. A Cumulus media station, the voice of the Central New York sports fan. The Score, 1260. Welcome to your home for local sports in Syracuse. Outside the Box Score with Mark Rowlands starts right now.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Outside the Box Score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse, right here on the Score 1260. Now, I know, we're not supposed to be in the Score 1260 studios right now. We were supposed to be at the pickleball tournament. I'm sorry. We will have this pickleball tournament. I guarantee you this is a thing that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait until the spring. There was some stuff that was out of our control in terms of how we were going to run this tournament. Those things did not necessarily go our way.
Mm-hmm.
We had to cancel last minute. This will happen.
Somebody said, quote, "We don't cancel."
That guy
had to rescind that the other day and say that sometimes we cancel.
We cancel. But don't consider it a cancellation. Consider it a postponement.
That's right.
This is going to happen. Just we are likely going to do it in the spring. Plus, anyway, weather will be warmer. It'll be nicer outside.
Beers will flow better.
Beers will flow better. Shout out to our friends at Myers Creek Brewing Company who were going to provide us with a smorgasbord of brews for this. I was talking to a rep from theirs the other night, and he's like, just, I'll get you whatever you want. I'm like, just bring it all.
Float on by.
Yeah, they're floating on by.
The Velvet Fog.
The diplomatic strategery, whatever we wanted. And he was like, I got you. So there was going to be a wide variety of beers, and there will be in the spring when we have our first annual, maybe?
Yeah,
who knows? Could be, but when we have the official Outside the Box Score pickleball tournament. So be on the lookout for that in the coming months. That is a thing that is going to happen. We promise you. Also, I know there was no show last week.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a lot to catch up on. Josh and I were on vacation in lovely Kissimmee, Florida.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Played 6 rounds of golf in 5 days. Well, I played 6 rounds in 5 days. You played 5.
You only 5 the back. I'm an old man now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was also just we had a foursome on Wednesday, and you decided not to play.
That's right.
So it was a very, very nice vacation.
Yep. A lot of nice old ladies down there in Florida, you know. When I shout out, what's going on, Dorothy? How you doing?
Shout out Diana.
Yeah.
Shout out Diana. Who was our bartender at the resort pool bar. She was doing a great job. Bang up job as a bartender. So shout out Diana. Shout out Kissimmee, Florida.
That's right.
Shout out all the boys we went with. Austin Jr., Dan, Adam, Aaron.
There you go.
Did I forget anyone?
Kyle.
How could I forget Kyle? So shout out all of them. It's good to be back, though. Of course, I come back and it immediately snows, which is great. Gotta love coming back to Syracuse from Florida. But we've got a catch-up show today.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things to talk about. 2 Syracuse football games that we have to talk about. And by talk about, I mean just destroy this team for a number of minutes later on in the show. But first, after this quick break, we have a guest.
We do?
John Bowman, CBS Sports baseball insider. I know we normally go local, but the World Series just wrapped up. We got to talk. We got to call in the big guns, talk about the series, talk about John. He was, he's a gambling guy.
Oh, yeah.
Red hot in the postseason.
He caught fire.
He was on fire. And I want to talk to him about that. I subscribe to his plays on Dub Club, so I get all the John Bowman plays, and he was red hot. So we're going to talk to him about that. We're going to talk to him about next season, what we can look forward to in the next upcoming baseball season. Maybe get some other stuff in there as well. So that's going to happen right after this break here on Outside the Box Score. With me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse on the Score 1260. If you're a fan of local craft beer, the only place you need to go is Myers Creek Brewing Company with 16 brews on tap at both the Cazenovia and Inner Harbor locations. Myers Creek has the best selection of locally brewed libations in all of central New York. Want a nice hazy IPA? The Velvet Fog is a must-try. More of a traditional Pilsner, how about the Floatin' on By? And for you sour drinkers, the It Takes Blue to Mango. So crack open a cold one with the official beer of Outside the Box Score, Myers Creek.
500 pre-owned SUVs and trucks, all here at Drivers Village. Don't overpay for used elsewhere. DV aggressively reprices our used daily. The Burdick Used Car and Truck Warehouse at Drivers Village. Shop dvused.com.
Injury crash, 2-door, 4-door, SUV, motorcycle, big truck. At William Attar, we're New York's largest motor vehicle accident firm, helping those injured in New York State. If a crash caused the death of a loved one, call.
I was like, oh no. It's one of those ones where you wake up. I woke up at like 5 and I was like, I've been sleeping for 3 hours and I feel like it didn't do anything.
Oh, boy.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Felt like Austin.
Pretty much. They have 2 dogs, too, and they went up to bed. And they left the dogs downstairs. I texted Burb. I was like, "It's some sort of sick joke. Like, come get your dogs. They're animals. They're large beasts. So,
Yeah.
like, get them. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I'm like, get these dogs away from me, dude. I'm trying to sleep. You can deal with that." Oh, his fiance, she got banged up last night, dude. By the end of the night, she was like doing one of these things, standing up. So I'm like, dude, take her to bed. Get her
go to
out of
bed.
here, man.
Also, hey, Jim. Glad to have you in
Hey.
chat. Sorry that you aren't at the pickleball tournament.
Sorry, Jim.
Sorry, Jim. We gotta have an event just so Jim can get out.
Right, I want to meet Jim.
Yeah, I want to meet Jim.
You haven't met him with Lurch and stuff or anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Jim, have we met?
Jim in the chat right now. You know me.
I don't think we have.
You see this
I've
beautiful
met
Irish man?
I've met a lot of the Man-Child fans, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I've met Jim.
Jamie the FedEx, yeah.
And we're back outside the box score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse, right here on the Score 1260. We're not going local today. Today we're going national, as we've got our baseball insider, John Bowman, CBS Sports HQ, joining us. John, how we doing today?
Good. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Now, thank you for doing this. I wanted to recap what was an interesting World Series. We had two teams that, going into the playoffs, were considered quite heavy underdogs. The Rangers and the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks only winning 84 games in the regular season. How did you look at this series playing out before we even saw it, and did it live up to your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, I think before going into it, everybody knew how hot the Diamondbacks were, and I think a lot of people thought, they definitely do have a chance. I thought before the series it would be Rangers in 6 games. It ended up being a little faster than that, but I mean, I also didn't predict Adolis Garcia going out with an injury, Max Scherzer leaving with an injury earlier, and they still won in 5 games. So, I mean, I think the Rangers just proved how dominant they were this season and how good they can be when they're playing well. And good for the Diamondbacks too, because they had an unbelievable season. They were playing well. They just honestly couldn't get the hits at the right times in the World Series. I think they were like, was it 0 for 10 in the first 4 or 5 innings of that Game 5 with runners in scoring position. So they definitely had their opportunities. They just weren't getting the crucial hits in crucial moments.
Yeah, and like you said, with Garcia and Scherzer going out, John, I know you and I both took the opportunity at like almost the same time to hop on the Diamondbacks plus.
Yeah.
For me, it was plus 230. For you, it was plus 250. And that brings me to, that was one of the few misses you had over the course of this playoffs. I mean, talk about red hot over the course of the postseason. You were on an all-time heater, my friend.
Yeah, it was a great postseason overall. I think I still love that bet, to be honest. I think that was
Yeah,
a great
I think it
play.
was a good
It's
bet.
just-
I do. It didn't hit, but it was a good bet, man.
It's the thing is that could go two ways, right? It could go, okay, we lost our number one guy and one of our big pitchers, and we know he's not going to be back for Game 7 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But so all right, we can feel down on ourselves, but the Rangers haven't been doing that all season, right? They kind of used it as a catalyst, as like a come together moment. Like, okay, we lost our hottest hitter, one of our two hottest hitters, but that just means that we can come in and contribute more. Jankowski came in, went 2 for 2 in his first two at bats when he was filling in for him. The Rangers bullpen pitched extremely well, and then Nathan Eovaldi is just a dog, absolutely shoving. So, I mean, the Rangers, honestly, they deserve it. Good for them, and they came together and overcame it.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the Rangers' resiliency this playoffs. Obviously, last day of the regular season, they lose out on the division, right? And then they go from there. They have to play the best team in baseball, probably, or in the AL that year, the Orioles. They beat them straight games, run right through them, and they go undefeated on the road this playoffs. Yeah, I mean, what a run they had. Constant resiliency, always just stepping up to the plate when they needed it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you said it right. Like every time they needed it, they stepped up. Like they could have rolled over right after they lost the division on the last day of the season. They could have just rolled over and felt sorry for themselves, but instead they flew 6 hours across the country to Tampa, ended up winning in 2 games. They kept traveling. They won more games. I think it was 17 straight days without playing at home, something like that. So, I mean, they never complained throughout the entire series or throughout the entire playoffs, and they go to Houston. And, I mean, a Game 7 was a lot of pressure for a lot of those guys that haven't been in that situation before, where on the Astros, all of them have been in that situation before. So they proved it there as well. They absolutely dominated them. So, I mean, kudos to them. They really deserved it, and they were definitely the best team in this postseason.
John, you mentioned him, and he is, in fact, a dog. But at what point do we start considering Nate Eovaldi one of the better playoff pitchers in baseball history? This guy has been dynamite every single time the lights are brightest. I think we're looking at maybe the best playoff pitcher currently in baseball and a guy that could go down in history.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the other guy that I remember being as dominant or, just as dominant was Steven Strasburg in 2019 or even just any other playoff start that he's made. And obviously Strasburg's out of the league now. So, yeah, I mean, Eovaldi's right up there. Both of them, it seems like they're unhittable in the playoffs. It's like every time they come on the mound, you watch their pitch sequencing. And it's like, how does anybody hit that? So the other main thing is both those guys throw strikes, right? They're always over the zone. I mean, granted, Eovaldi walked like 4 guys in the most recent outing, but he was being more fine, and that was also he walked 1 batter the entire postseason before that. So yeah, he had a little trouble in that outing, but he's a strike thrower overall, and he doesn't necessarily get the strikeouts. And so you see guys that are around the zone that have this nasty of stuff find success.
I do want to discuss, this was a very low-rated World Series. It seemed like the buzz around it wasn't there, which for me, I was excited to see these two teams. You got the dynamite offense of the Rangers and the underdog story of the year in the Diamondbacks. I think the narrative was there. Why necessarily weren't the viewers there?
Yeah, I mean, I think going into it, we kind of knew it was going to be like that with 2 markets that haven't been, non-blue bloods, teams that haven't been kind of staples or teams that haven't proven over, multiple seasons that they've been 2 of the best. I also think it's a lot of other baseball fans that are fans of those top teams that lost earlier in the rounds and don't necessarily want to pay attention later after they get knocked out. But yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but at the same time, these are 2 massive baseball markets in Texas and Arizona that haven't gotten to their fullest potential for whatever reason. So seeing a team like Texas win their first World Series ever, or seeing the Diamondbacks get back to where they should be and playing extremely well, it's awesome for the game of baseball, especially. I mean, you see like the Arizona Fall League going on at the same time as the World Series over there. Then you've got spring training, obviously, in Arizona. Half the teams are there. So that's a massive baseball market. People really care about baseball there. So it's really nice to see these two teams start to play well again because, I mean, maybe the ratings weren't that great this year, but I guarantee down the road, the ratings will be better because of this World Series.
Do you think we look too much into seeing the ratings? You know, they always trend on social media. Oh, I think it was game one only had 9.7 million viewers, and game one was one of the best World Series games I've seen in a long time. So do you think we read too much into that in terms of the future of baseball, or do you think it's justified?
Yeah, I think both. I mean, I think it's more of a media sensation because why would anybody who watches it anyway care how many other people are watching it? You know, I mean, everybody uses the term grow. They want to grow the game for it, but I mean, at the same time, you know, it's not necessarily like a grow the game type of thing. So yeah, I mean, you want people to tune in, and you know, you don't necessarily want it to be a main theme, but at the same time, people are still going to bring that up. And I guess it's more of a competitive thing too, as well. A lot of people like to say that the sport that they watch is the best, and maybe that's where it comes in. But I mean, I don't really read into it too much.
Yeah. Moving away from the viewership now, looking next year, what the Rangers have done. You know, this is a team who was aggressive the last 2 years. We saw, obviously, going out and signing Semien and Seager the year before, and then trading this year, getting DeGrom and Scherzer. Very aggressive going at it. What's their outlook for, you know, potential repeat? Everyone wants to say it when a team wins like this. How are they looking next year, and can they repeat some success?
Yeah, well, I mean, getting Jacob DeGrom back should help. But especially, I mean, they added Scherzer. Hopefully, he'll be healthy next year as well. Like, they've got the starting pitching. The thing is, they made amazing trade deadline moves. They added a guy like Jordan Montgomery, who is crucial for them. Max Scherzer. They added 2 of their 3 top starters at the trade deadline. So they did an unbelievable job at hitting there. I don't necessarily know if they'll be inclined to spend as much preseason because of that, because you know that, you know, you're able to hit on those guys mid-season. So it kind of leaves you a little flexibility in terms of your roster too. You can kind of see who's playing well throughout the season as opposed to signing someone in the off season and then maybe he's having a bad year. You don't have the flexibility to go out and get somebody new. So I don't think they're going to be as aggressive in the off season, knowing that they have their core. But I think we could see something big around the trade deadline again.
So no Shohei Ohtani to the Rangers?
I don't think so. I think he wants to be on a coast.
Yeah, and, you know, since we brought it up, we all know he's not going back to the Angels. It's just a foregone conclusion at this point. Shohei Ohtani will no longer be playing in Anaheim. Who's the favorite right now? Is it the Dodgers?
Yeah, I'd probably say the Dodgers. Granted, when he first entered and was, you know, every team was trying to get him, I did not guess the Angels at all. So
Neither did I, to be
who
fair.
knows? Yeah, so who knows what he's really thinking, but I could see maybe like the Mariners too. I think that would be pretty cool.
I agree.
But I think it's one of those West Coast teams for sure.
I did see a guy that, you know, talking about great postseason pitchers, he isn't one of them, but in my opinion, maybe the best regular season pitcher in the last 100 years, Clayton Kershaw, had shoulder surgery. He still wants to come back and play next year, likely for the Dodgers, unless maybe he does sign with the Rangers. He's a Texas boy. It's been rumored for years that he goes to Texas or Houston, but he wants to come back next year. In my opinion, John, it's time for Kersh to just hang him up. He hasn't thrown more than 130 innings in like 6 years. I think he should just retire. What would you expect to see out of Clayton Kershaw next year if he does come back?
Yeah, my guess is he might end up retiring, but I think he went through the surgery and will likely go through the rehab kind of just to see, because knowing the Dodgers, they're going to be in the playoffs again next year. So if he can get the surgery and, you know, feel good enough towards the end of next season, why not come back right before and play in the playoffs? So it's a little bit of a different opportunity on teams like the Dodgers or the Astros, right? Because you almost know it's like a 99% chance that they're going to make the playoffs even before the season. So it makes sense, I think, for him and for the Dodgers that way because, yeah, he can have the surgery and see if he can gear it up for the playoffs. But if that surgery or rehab doesn't go well, I think we could see him retiring.
Well, John, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to wish you luck in the off season. I want to congratulate you on a red hot postseason once again because I'm glad if you don't follow John Bowman on Dub Club like I do, make sure you do so next year. I don't know, is there going to be any Japanese baseball or anything going, or the Japan
NHL, right?
the Japan series is going on right now, but is there going to be anything you're posting in the off season in terms of picks?
Nope, I'll be hibernating until February, until college baseball season. So I'm looking forward to some off time.
Well, there you go. Well, John, thanks for coming on. Talk to you again soon. All right, pal?
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me on all year. It's always been good talking to y'all.
All right, there he is, John Bowman, our Major League Baseball insider from CBS Sports HQ. Timeout. Be right back here on the Outside the Box Score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse on the Score 1260. For the best local beer in Central New York, the only place you need to look is Myers Creek Brewing Company with 16 different beers on tap at both the Inner Harbor in Syracuse and the Palace that is the Cazenovia location. Myers Creek has something for everyone. Want a bite to eat? Both locations feature a kitchen with delicious pizzas, some of the best wings in Syracuse, and much more. Make sure to check out our friends at Myers Creek Brewing Company, the official bar of Outside the Box Score.
500 pre-owned SUVs and trucks. Don't overpay for used elsewhere.
We got to talk about Syracuse next.
Yeah, we got to talk about Syracuse next.
All right.
Jim says, I'm glad because Jim brought up Eovaldi in the chat. And I'm like, yeah, this guy is one of the better. He also mentioned Kurt Schilling. I don't want to talk about him. As great of a playoff pitcher as he was.
Mad Bum.
Mad Bum's a great one.
I thought that's who he was going to say, and then I forgot about Strasburg. But
yeah,
Strasburg's 2019 was crazy.
Oh, it was insane.
He channeled the fountain of youth for
himself. Yeah, he was throwing harder. He was that break. Steven Strasburg's curveball in the 2019 playoffs might be the most unhittable pitch of all time. It was every single start. That thing was just diving.
Yep.
They said Bruce Bochy appears to be a decent manager. Yeah, 4 World Series is halfway decent. Yeah. Oh boy,
we got won all 4 on the road, I think. Pat.
Yeah, he goes. I emailed Wildhack last night. Should not have done that.
Somebody should, dude. He stinks.
Yeah.
You don't want to trash him on real air, so I'll say that. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
No, I've been very vocally against John Wildhack on the air before. So does Wildhack now have the perfect excuse for keeping Dino? I like every time Jim says excuse, he capitalizes Cuse.
That's nice.
That's a great bit. I love it. Does Wildhack now his perfect excuse for keeping Dino? Schrader injury at the time of the schedule was manageable. That's the thing. Probably.
Yep, that's how you justify it.
Yeah.
Pat was calling for it on Twitter last night. I saw he's like, did anyone see Dino's house go on the market and probably Fayetteville?
I didn't see that. Yes, of course, it's probably in Fayetteville.
Yeah. I don't get why that's funny as much, but I do like it.
Pat said he called Wildhack another name for a cat.
You spineless, yeah.
But the subject line was "Fire Dino, you."
That's how it works, baby. It's like calling your local representative. You know, you want change,
yeah,
you gotta email your local AD and call them a. That's how change starts. Something needs to happen.
Yeah.
Hopefully basketball is just like not as miserable as the season as it's been recently.
I don't think it will be, but
neither do I. But it needs something good. And there's honestly, he gets a year. Like Autry just gets a year to do whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's literally no expectations.
No.
None.
They
could win 10 games this year and be like, all right, he's just getting his guys. He's feeling it, whatever. No down spot to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm eyeing games on that schedule, by the way. thinking the Notre Dame game.
Notre
the end of
Dame?
February.
Yeah.
Is where I want to go.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm gonna hit at least a couple, I
Yeah.
think.
Because I should go to another a big one.
Yeah.
Like they have UNC, Duke, obviously all the ACC guys.
Mhm.
Florida State's playing there, LSU.
Yeah.
So something like that maybe too. You just looking at the football schedule.
Yeah, I just got the
It's
scores up
brutal.
right now. It's awful.
Talking to we were watching last night and they're like, so what's up with Syracuse football? Why 4-4? What happened? They started 3-0 or 4-0. I mean, they just stink. I don't know what you want me to say.
And we're back outside the box score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse, right here on the Score 1260. It's that time of the show. It's that time where we've got to talk about Syracuse football. That's right, Josh. It's painful.
Yeah.
Coming off of a 17-10 loss against Boston College last night. Last week, while we were gone, they played on Thursday night. And they lost 38-10 to Virginia Tech.
I missed that one. We watched it.
I was watching it. We were in the resort. The Bills game was on in the living room.
Yeah.
I went into the bedroom and watched the SU game, and it was brutal. Yeah. Absolutely brutal. I think for me, the Virginia Tech loss is like a lot worse than the Boston College loss.
Well, yeah.
Well, no, but I mean in terms of how it feels. Like, I hate losing to Boston College. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
I think Virginia Tech has the worst uniforms in all of college sports, and losing to them always hurts me because I just hate looking at them. I can't stand that maroon orange. I think it's a really bad look.
You hate any orange teams that aren't the orange. I get it.
Well, essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
See, there was a graphic going around on Twitter recently. I want to say it was Fox. It was from Fox Sports college football.
Mm-hmm.
It was who has the best orange uniforms?
Yeah.
Texas, Tennessee, Clemson. What?
The orange?
The orange? How about the only one with orange in their name? I've gone on this rant before. I think I did it 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to do it again, but it went around again on social media recently. But last night, SU loses to Boston College 17-10. No Garrett Schrader for the Orange. Carlos Del Rio Wilson went in there and stunk up the joint.
Yeah.
7 of 17 for 37 yards and 4 interceptions. He did run the ball 12 times for 67 yards and a score. LaQuinn Allen was good. 18 rushes for 142 yards, no touchdowns. Syracuse's offense is absolutely anemic.
Yeah.
It's not even just without Schrader, because with Schrader, they were also very bad.
When you're so one-dimensional, right? I mean,
Yep.
you can really only run the ball. Even your quarterbacks, their best attack is by running.
Yeah.
I stand by the third pick where the guy just grabbed it from the wide receiver's
Yeah.
hands. Yeah, I think the wide receiver was just shocked the ball got to him.
Yeah.
He just didn't know what's happening. He's like, oh, crap, I got the ball now. And then he just lost it. I mean, it's not even on him. Jim, with the tweet of the night last night, watching the game, going, I think we know why Del Rio Wilson hasn't gotten into a game yet this year.
Yeah.
Because that kid is, it is what it is. He hasn't really played much. He's going to get more chances, I'm sure, after Schrader is gone. But.
Yeah. Here's the thing. So Carlos got into a couple of games last year.
Mm-hmm.
Notably, I think the Notre Dame game when Schrader got hurt and then Carlos Del Rio Wilson came in, and we actually gave us a chance in the second half. Mm-hmm. And his arm was a lot better.
Yeah, he did look better last year.
He did, right? It's because my dad and I were talking about it, and Jim said, "Wait, people read my tweets."
I got you, Jim.
We got you, Jim. I think wasn't that a reply to mine?
It might have been.
Yeah, it might have been. But his arm looked a lot stronger. He looked like more of a pocket passer last year.
He just looked better in every way.
In general.
Everything.
I don't know what it is. No, obviously SU has new offensive minds, running the ship this year. But when I saw him, he's missing, 8-yard passes, 3 yards short. It wasn't even close. I've never seen a quarterback be that inaccurate on those short of passes. I don't know what happened to this kid. Are we sure he isn't hurt, specifically in his arm? Because last year he was slinging it against teams like Notre Dame. And this year it was just, he looked like Garrett Schrader throwing the ball 3 years ago.
Yep.
It didn't look like the same guy we saw last year. I couldn't believe the regression I saw from Carlos in this game. And it's so easy to run out of things to talk about with this team because it's been the same week in and week out for the last 5 weeks.
Yep.
This team started 4-0. They're 4-5. It's the exact same thing as last year, except we started 6-0. So we were even better.
Yep. And you can tell it with the players too. Like at the end of the game, after the last punt they had, and that just a stupid penalty on the unnecessary roughness when he just slaps the guy, and like the players are just getting upset too, and they can sense that, right? It's the same thing. We're winning, and then it just falls off, and we have no clue. I'll start the Dino talks now.
I was gonna say that's where we have to go.
The quote coming out of halftime, if you're listening to the game, they were reporting on it. Dino said, "I feel like the team that gets to 17 first is going to be the one to win the game." You had 7 points after half, and your goal, maybe it was realistic. Maybe, honestly, it was all it needed.
It was. Final score was 17-10.
But you're coming out of the second half, and you're like, I want 10 points. That is a crazy way to coach again, like a crazy mindset to have. Be like, guys, we need 2 scores in 30 minutes.
Yep.
What are you preaching? We need 2 good drives? What the hell are we doing? Be aggressive. Let's try and win this game. Run it out. Like, just accepting that your team is so bad. I don't know. It's wild to me. That quote was crazy.
And then his quote after the game was, he was like, not to get biblical, but faith is belief in something unseen. And he's like, essentially like, you have to have faith in this team. It's like, no. And listen, I'm a Catholic. I'm a religious man.
Sure.
I believe in things that, no, I haven't seen the face of God. No.
Not yet.
I don't believe in this SU team at all. I have zero faith in this SU team because there's a difference in not seeing something and seeing the complete opposite.
Yes.
When week in, week out, you see the opposite of a good football team. You see a bad football team. You see a very bad football team. Why am I going to sit here and believe that, no, this is a good football team? This is what Lions fans felt like for 25 years. This is what Jets fans have felt like since what was that, 72?
Yeah.
Yeah, like whenever Namath
Hollywood Joe.
Yeah, whenever it was Broadway Joe.
That's right.
Whenever Broadway Joe won him a Super Bowl. You just watch a bad team over and over and over and over and over again. Of course you don't expect them to be good.
At least this game had, unlike the UNC game, unlike the Florida State game when we came on here and we're like, there's literally just nothing good about this team. No bright spots, nothing. At least last night, you got to see LeQuinn Allen, and that gives you a little bit of hope. He's great. He's awesome.
He's good. I like LeQuinn Allen.
And the edge rusher, his name is going 94. He had a tackle last night that was like, what? He was getting held and just great tackle. He was a bright spot. He was aggressive all game in the backfield. So there's things that you can watch and appreciate. And honestly, it's hard to crap on the SU defense. It's just good. It plays really well.
They do have a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
And you're thinking of Kevin Jabidi.
Yes.
With the tackle last night. The defense is solid. And that's what I said going into the Clemson game. I was like, if we know one thing about this SU team, they have a good defense.
Yeah.
And granted, they didn't show that against Florida State, North Carolina.
Sure.
But at the same time, or even Vatek. But at the same time, like Vatek, that's embarrassing. Like giving up 38 points to Virginia Tech, that's a big no. UNC and Florida State are the top 2 teams in the ACC. Florida State is the number 4 team in the country.
Yeah.
They're currently in the playoff picture.
Sure.
Like,
you get run over by them, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, you expect to lose to those teams. Now, do I expect them to score 3 points? No, I expect them to score a little more than that. It's just and Jim says SU's defense was out there with something like 42 minutes. Yeah, I've got the time of possession here right now. Boston College time of possession, 42-14. Syracuse, 17-32.
It's so hard to ask your defense to be that good for that long.
More than double.
Yeah.
Boston College had the ball more than double the time that Syracuse did.
How many drives in the second half started past the Syracuse 40 that they punted or turned it over? I mean, it was incredibly bad offense all around. I don't know. Maybe they scapegoat the OC if they want to keep Dino, something, but like something has to change.
Well,
you can't run the same squad back and be like, all right, next year's our year.
The other thing is, we can't just keep running through coordinators.
Well, they don't want to address the big one.
Yeah,
so.
and I can't believe I'm still getting this upset about this team. I've said it before. I'll say I shouldn't care about this team until John Wildhack cares about this team. And clearly he doesn't.
Yeah.
Clearly the program as a whole, from the top down, is fine with mediocrity. And listen, I'm not. Yeah, Pat saying BC might be good too.
They might be.
They might be. They're fine, but
they should be as good as Syracuse. Like, there's no reason that Syracuse shouldn't be competitive, and maybe the game last night was competitive. In quotation marks.
No, what 42-17 is not competitive in terms of time of possession.
Just saying, it looks like it. The score says otherwise, but it wasn't. Yeah, if you watch the game, Syracuse never looked like they had a chance. Even when they tied the game, I'm like, all right, just when are they going to score? Or Boston College is going to score. It's just going to happen. And then you're going to need a possession where you need to drive the field and get points. And that's impossible to see from Syracuse.
Pat says on the coordinator thing, that's just college football. And no one really has a consistent coordinator. There's a difference between not having a consistent coordinator because your guys are good and getting other jobs and just going through them because they stink. That's what SU's doing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sit. I don't like sitting here and saying fire the coach. I am not that guy. But it's time to seriously consider a change. That's all I'm going to say is it's time to seriously consider a change at the top. Even after last year, when we lost 7 in a row to end the season, I wasn't on the fire Dino bandwagon.
At least you made a bowl game last year.
At least we made a bowl game. Right now, I don't know if we're going to.
No.
We've got 3 games left. Go ahead, Braylon.
But how many coaches get this long without some success? He's been there 8 years?
It's a long leash.
With 2 winning seasons, I think. So the next 3 games are Pitt, Georgia Tech, and Wake Forest. Could win 2 of those.
Tough.
Yeah, you could win 2 of those, but right now I don't think you can.
Who was the first one? What did you say?
Pitt.
Georgia Tech. Pitt. Okay.
Pitt's kind of in shambles this year.
Yeah.
So after
you got a chance.
Yeah, you've got a chance. You have a chance to win your next game.
You need 6 games, I think, to make a bowl. I think you need to win 2 or 3.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no way this is one of those teams that wins 5 and makes a bowl game.
Yeah, no.
There's absolutely no way. Because who wants to watch this team? Syracuse fans don't want to watch this team.
No.
And granted, it was a pretty good crowd at the Dome last night.
Yeah, it was Pat, ESPN, Friday night game. It was a really good crowd.
It was a really good crowd at the Dome. Oh, yeah, and Pitt's at Yankee Stadium. So that's the other thing. That should have been a home game. And because all Wildhead cares about is money, they went to Yankee Stadium.
Lining his pockets.
Yeah.
That's how they paid Dino's salary.
Gave up a home game to play Pitt at Yankee Stadium. Who cares? You think you're going to get all those New York SU fans out there for that one?
Pat, are you going?
Yeah,
you're
Pat.
An SU fan in New York. You going to that game?
Well, he's more of a Notre Dame fan.
Well,
but Pat, you're an SU alum living in New York City. Are you going to the Pitt game at Yankee Stadium? I would love to hear. Because if I was you, I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't. I don't care. I haven't been to the Dome at all this year for a game.
Yep.
And granted, had other things going on. It's been hard to get out to a game. This show is on Saturday.
Games are on Saturday?
Yeah. Games are typically on Saturday at noon. It's hard for me to be able to get out to games. So, okay, Pat is going.
Okay. Well, that's a big one.
That's a big one. He goes, absolutely, I'm going. I'm an alumni. Yeah, I understand that, Pat. So is Josh. Josh doesn't go to any games.
I'm an alum, Pat. There it is.
It's just, God. It is time to seriously consider a change at the top because everyone is still. We all just think about 2018. That's all fans think about. It's remember that time we won 10 games with Eric Dungy? Remember that time we were ranked 14th in the country? God, that was great, wasn't it? Well, guess what, Syracuse fans? I don't know the next time we'll get back there. That's with or without Dino at the helm.
Yeah.
In terms of recruiting, in terms of transfers deciding to come to Syracuse, in terms of how much money they're willing to put into this program to recruit with NIL, we just can't compete.
No.
There's just no way we can compete at this point, which personally, I think we should be able to.
Yeah.
I know some people personally who are big time donors to Syracuse, and I know the sort of money that they put in.
Even Boeheim had a problem with this in the basketball program, which is much better than the football program currently.
Yeah,
No
so
debate.
if we're having trouble doing that for the basketball program, Lord knows we're going to have trouble doing that for the football program.
Yeah.
And there is just no way. And I'm not saying compete with the Alabamas, the Texas, the Tennessees. I'm not saying that we'll never compete with them.
Sure. But the Dukes,
Duke,
The
UNC, Virginia?
Right.
Right now, what 4-star recruit? I'm not going to say 5. We don't get 5 stars.
No.
What 4-star recruit in their right mind would pick Syracuse over Duke or Syracuse over UNC?
No one. Absolutely no one. And it's so, I mean, outside of just convincing a college kid to come through a New York winter, and you're a kid in Alabama playing, you're in the South.
That's already enough of a struggle.
Exactly. And then now you're not going to pay him what Duke is. You're not going to give him the opportunity. There's no way you can preach that you're going to win more games than they are. There's just nothing. You have no leverage in this debate, and you're quickly falling behind.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, man. I'm getting real tired of talking about this team every week. It was great the first few weeks.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun talking Syracuse football.
We predicted games. We cared about spreads. Now it's just how much they're going to lose by this week.
Yep. When I saw that they were favored.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
That was unreal. They were 2-point favorite. Now, granted, it did move the other way once Schrader was announced out.
Okay.
It very quickly moved to Boston College -1. So it swung 3 points that quickly. But Jim says, take a look at next year's SU non-conference schedule. I don't care about it right now. I really don't.
Good or bad, Jim?
It's going to be one of those ones where it's like, oh, SU starts 4-0, and then we lose every conference game because the team stinks. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
We'll just never compete. And that's not just with Babers. I'm saying that could be, you could bring in a brand new coach who's won 80% of his games at a different school. Wouldn't matter. We're still not going to get the talent.
What's Jim? Don't you got to bet on them for the season wins? What is it, 5.5? You need 2 down the stretch.
Yeah, Jim.
Tighten up, Jim.
I think it was 4.5.
Oh, really? So it only needs a 1?
Maybe. Jim, we're going to take a break. Remind us in the break what your bet was, and we'll talk about it during the break. If you're not, watching on Twitch or on YouTube, you can do that. Oh no, he needs 2 for a push.
Oh,
it was 6. It was 6 on the nose. Ugh.
Oh,
but if you're not watching on Twitch or YouTube, you can do that. You can find us on the Score 1260 YouTube channel, all that good stuff. We talk during the breaks. There's a camera. You can look inside the studio here.
Mark's got a hell of a hat on today.
I do have a great hat on today. I'm surprised Pat hasn't mentioned it in the chat. So we'll be right back here on Outside the Box Score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse on the Score 1260. Craft beer, the only place you need to go is Myers Creek Brewing Company with 16 brews on tap at both the Cazenovia and Inner Harbor locations. Myers Creek has the best selection of locally brewed libations in all of central New York. Want a nice hazy IPA? The Velvet Fog is a must-try. More of a traditional Pilsner, how about the Floatin' on By? And for you sour drinkers, the It Takes Blue to Mango. So crack open a cold one with the official beer of Outside the Box Score, Myers Creek.
Beer's never.
Pat, he pulled up in his car next to me, and I just started laughing my ass off, just inherently. And I'm like, that's a fun hat, dude. And he's like, what do you mean? It's a great. I love this hat. And I'm like, no, it's a good hat. It's just, it's very funny.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I know you have the same one, so. You have essentially the same hat. All right, see you, pal. He just called to say, I just want to say it's a bad hat.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
Appreciate you listening. Thanks for supporting us. Thank you for calling my hat dumb. Thanks.
I'm pretty sure he got a hat at the same time I did.
It's a good vibe. I mean, you got it fit. Like the fit works with the hat right now. Like if I was wearing what I'm wearing with that hat, you should definitely like shoot me or something.
Yeah, no, you'd look ridiculous.
Yeah, honestly, I think I'd look ridiculous in that hat regardless, ever.
That's fair.
Yeah. What do we got on the one shoot? What are we talking after this? Braylon made this whole thing.
Yeah.
It was kind of a scramble this morning.
All right.
It's not great. I got the scores from the sectionals though.
Oh yes, actually that's perfect because I watched some of that CNS game last night.
They're the juggernauts, yeah. CNS, right?
CBA is really the.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's 53-7. Wow. Yeah, that's the sectional final. Is CNS versus CBA.
When's that? This weekend?
Next week at the Dome.
At the Dome?
Yeah.
Nice. That's got to be tough on the I assume there's not a lot of turf in high school football. So then
Pat said we've literally had those hats since we were 13. I know.
Got to be weird to play on turf as a kid.
Yeah. No. Why do the high school fields have turf?
Really?
Oh yeah.
No, yeah.
Damn.
When I was, I think they.
And we're back outside the box score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse, right here on the score 1260. Want to talk a little bit of high school football here. Had the, all the, some sectional finals last night, all of them last night. The AA final matchup is set. We had CBA versus Liverpool. It was actually a home game for CBA. It was supposed to be played at the Dome, but Dome was occupied last night. So it ended up being a home game for CBA. They ended up taking down the Warriors 53-7. And CBA continuing to prove to be one of the juggernauts in local high school football. I do want to shout out, first of all, shout out my buddy Tony, who I was talking to about this game yesterday. He predicted 42-14 in favor of the brothers. He is a CBA alum himself. Prides himself on being part of the all Polish infield back in the day. They had an entirely Polish infield when he was in high school, and like all of them were all CNY. Like they were just absolute studs. I think Tony, I'm pretty sure he played at Albany. Okay. So they were all just like really good baseball players. But he mentioned a kid from Liverpool named Oakley Keegan, wide receiver, 6'4", wears number 88, and by the way, he's a freshman.
Oh,
he sent me a video of this kid. Oh, I mean, dude, this kid's going D1.
We got to get him to a private school.
We got to get him to a prep school stat. He is an absolute stud.
Rocking the 88.
Rocking the 88. Yeah, Mr. Cowboy fan over here.
Yeah.
Rocking the 88. And he sent me a video of just this over-the-shoulder, like, diving catch in the end zone. And I was like, oh, brother. This, as a freshman, he's 6'4"? This guy's going to be a problem. So, despite the fact that Liverpool is knocked out now, be on the lookout for him in the next couple of years. Next year, I think maybe we'll get Oakley on the show. Also,
what a name.
Oakley Keegan. And is there a more Big Ten wide receiver name than Oakley Keegan?
Michigan.
Well, I don't know if anyone's going to be going to Michigan in the next couple of years here.
Come on.
A bunch of cheaters. But no, just imagine you're watching an NFL game. Is Oakley Keegan, Minnesota. Just fits, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oakley Keegan, Iowa.
Hopefully not Iowa.
Hopefully not Iowa. He wants to catch a pass in his college career. Oakley Keegan, Penn State. Yeah, it just works. That guy's a Big Ten wide receiver if there ever was one. Also, rip Brian Ferentz, the offensive coordinator at Iowa.
Ending the greatest incentive ever in sports.
Are you familiar with the clause that he had in his contract, Braylon?
I think I heard you talking about
The
it.
offensive coordinator at Iowa, yeah, he had to win 7 games and average 25 points a game to keep his job, and he was well
resigned
below
a
the
week
mark,
ago.
and he resigned a week ago.
They're letting him finish out the season. I'm like, at this point, just Hail Mary, just go for it, dude. Just go for it. I'm not running the ball ever.
No, can you imagine if they scored like 40 points in the last 3 games and he hit the clause? He's like, I'm back. He does the Leo and Wolf. I'm not leaving.
That'd be awesome. I'm rooting for that guy. And the media was all on him all year.
I know the media was on him all year, and as a member of the media, I kind of feel bad, but also it was hilarious. Just an absolutely hilarious clause to have in a contract. But anyway, so CBA beating Liverpool. They're going to take on Cicero North Syracuse in the sectional final. That'll be next week. Like I said, at the JMA Wireless Dome, because CNS beat Baldwinsville 32-14 last night. I caught some of that game. It was on Spectrum Channel 10 last night. Shout out Michael Tricarico, the voice of your Syracuse Mets, on the broadcast for that one. That's mainly why I caught some of it. I was like, oh, Mike's doing the game. Pat says, dude, take the over in Iowa Northwestern today. It's 30.5. That's easy money. They're also playing at Wrigley Field in that one.
Is it? Is it easy money?
It's always the Iowa under. I don't care if it's 30.5. That game's gonna be 14-10.
What's the spread in that? I don't even know. Iowa's probably favored, but
yeah. I was like,
supposed to be good.
They're like 7-1. They're actually kind of good. Outside of the one shutout they had against Penn State, where Penn State beat them like 38-0. Looking into that real quick. Some other sectional matchups we had yesterday. In Class A, East Syracuse Manoa beat West Genesee to move on to the sectional finals. That score was 22-20, and they'll be facing off against Whitesboro, who took down my Cougars in the semifinals last night, shellacking Corcoran 48-24. It was a good run for my Corcoran Cougars, but they will not be playing for the sectional finals this year. So just a couple. It's Iowa -4.5, by the way. And Pat says, shout out the great CNS defensive coordinator, Coach Mike Miola. Absolutely. Also, as I mentioned on the show, going to be an assistant for their baseball team this year behind Stephen Bailey, who was Coach Miola's assistant on my varsity baseball team back in the day. So shout out Coach Miola. Shout out Coach Stephen Bailey. CNS baseball going to be a problem with those two at the helm this year. One more timeout, come back, wrap things up here on Outside the Box Score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse on the Score 1260.
The Score 1260's Maggie and Perloff are must-listen radio. Esteemed sports analyst Maggie Gray and Andrew Perloff, known for his against-the-grain sports takes, shake things up every day on your morning commute. Listen weekdays, 6 to 10, on the voice of the Central New York sports fan, The Score 1260.
For the best local beer in Central New York, the only place you need to look is Myers Creek Brewing Company, with 16 different beers on tap at both the Inner Harbor in Syracuse and the Palace that is the Cazenovia location. Myers Creek has something for everyone. Want a bite to eat? Both locations feature a kitchen with delicious pizzas, some of the best wings in Syracuse, and much more. Make sure to check out our friends at Myers Creek Brewing Company, the official bar of Outside the Box Score.
Have you seen the amazing lineup of Hyundai SUVs and sedans? See and drive them all at Hyundai Cicero. We have tons of them, over 150 available. Our lots are packed with the full Hyundai lineup. 150 new Hyundais, including hybrids and EVs, all minutes from Syracuse. Super selection, fall savings. That's why people are shopping Hyundai Cicero at Drivers Village. See why at HyundaiCicero.com.
Today in the United States, more than 34 million people are facing hunger. Join Wegmans with the Food Bank of Central New York, the Rescue Mission, and the Salvation Army for Together Against Hunger. Now through November 29th, Wegmans shoppers can choose to donate any amount.
Yeah, I guess he wasn't, a couple weeks ago, he wasn't listening when I mentioned the Coach Miola thing.
high school sports coaching stuff is so crazy. My uncle he was on the committee for his kids' varsity hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
And in his travel league, the coach is his ex-wife's like best friend. Like they're all his.
Yeah.
And so he walked into the interview, and my uncle was just sitting there like, I'm on the committee. Hi, nice to see you. You want this job? He didn't get the job. He's like, I will tank anybody. He just sent us a picture of Darth Vader and was like, what was the caption? It was hilarious. He's like, you walked in and saw the light of God when I was sitting at that table.
Oh my God.
He's like, it was really hard to crap on him because he had like all the experience. Whatever, he was probably the best candidate. They went out and found a fifth guy, and they hired him. And I'm like,
dude, it's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
It really
you
is.
You got to know people.
Yeah, you really do.
You're not gonna piss off people either. So.
Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. It just reminded me.
What do we got, Fetty?
They just had the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame dinner the other night.
Cassidy, right?
Yeah, Scott Cassidy and Bob Casulo, who I know was inducted.
Bobby C.
Former NFL offensive line coach, Bobby Casulo. Bucks, Bills, Raiders, I think.
10 to noon on the voice of the Central New York sports fan, the Score 1260.
And we're back outside the box score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse, wrapping things up here on another fun-filled Saturday. Did want to mention we had just on October 30th, the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame induction dinner. Wanted to shout out the honorees, Jamie Archer, the lacrosse player, Tom Blackford, longtime coach, Bob Casulo, speaking of a longtime coach, 38 years coaching, spent 12 seasons coaching in high school, Henniger and Baldwinsville, 17 in college, SU, Georgia Tech, Michigan State, and 9 in the NFL, Raiders, Jets, Seahawks, Buccaneers. Did go to a Section 3 title game, 10 college bowl games, and 15 NFL playoff games, including going to 2 Super Bowls. So very storied career for Coach Casulo. I know Coach a little bit, really nice guy. I actually was trying to get him on the show today. He's got a lot going on with this just happening, so he was unable to make it. Also got to congratulate Scott Cassidy. Friend of the show, Scott Cassidy. Man, I've interviewed multiple times now, also on the Man-Child Show with Boy Green. Got to talk to him during the LeMoyne OCC baseball doubleheader that Josh and I were so gracious enough to be invited to. Down in the OCC dugout for most of that one.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy. You know, we've talked about all of it. The major league career, Johnny Damon should have caught that ball. The storied career as a coach at LeMoyne, and now coaching a D1 program once again. So shout out to him. Irene Contos, Carolyn Davis, and Ronnie Leggett Sr. And a couple others I didn't see here. The background is like moving on this website. So Ronnie Leggett Sr., Andy Melnick, great bowler here in Syracuse, and Sid Oglesby. Oglesby, real trailblazer, first African-American to win a national championship in gymnastics, did so at Syracuse. So great class this year for the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame. Wanted to shout them out real quick, especially Bob Casulo and friend of the show, Scott Cassidy. Any final thoughts, gentlemen, going into this weekend? Josh?
I'm looking forward. I mean, you know, if Jamie's out there, we got ATP Masters 1000s tennis, big tournament coming down to the last 1000s of the season. Joker's still around, baby. It's probably him and Tsitsipas going at it, and it should be a fun one. I mean, a lot of crap happens. The scheduling sucks. All these tournaments are terrible at the end of the season. The WTA finals, also terrible. Court conditions are bad. I mean, the guys who set up these tournaments are just greed-mongering losers. They hate I hate them. But look forward to some good tennis this weekend.
We do have Jim saying SU basketball starts Monday night. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
First game for the Orange Monday night. And Braylon, by the way, wanted to officially congratulate you. now working with Syracuse.com. So shout out to Braylon. Glad that you got that gig. And we know you're still going to be involved in the show, not going to be on next week, but I couldn't be happier for you, pal.
Thanks.
All
Thanks.
right.
Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Braylon's going to be sort of, like I said, still involved in the show, but might be a little more in and out in coming weeks as he's going to be doing some stat tracking for Syracuse.com. So another sports media professional here on Outside the Box Score. Shout out Pat Burke, who always calls us sports media professionals, even though I hardly believe it. That's going to do it for us here today as Josh questions my last statement there, and we have fun. That's going to do it for us here on Outside the Box Score. Thank you all for listening. Thank you to John Bowman for chiming in, talking the World Series. We'll be back same time, same channel, 11 a.m. next week here on the Score 1260. Peace.
Drive home with Maggie and Perloff. Afternoons 3 to 6 on WSKO Syracuse.